Hey, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Style podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm really excited to be joined by Sky Marcano today. I hope I said your surname right. Have I said that right?
Yes, you did, with your accent and everything. Yep.
It's always terrifying to me because people always say my surname wrong. So yesterday I was recording this webinar for Enterprise Nation, and the girl beforehand, she was introducing me and she's like, how do I say it though? And I was like, it's just Lorimer, like it looks. And she went, so Lorimer. And I was like, yeah. And she went, I'm really worried that I'm going to get it wrong. And I was like, honestly, the worst one I've ever had has been lawnmower. Like someone actually was like, and here's Jessica Lawnmower. And I was like, yeah, that's not really it.
No. That's funny.
I know. So I always get a bit funny when I'm looking at other people's names. I'm like, shit, did I say that correctly?
I know. It's funny.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited to have you here. So you're somebody who is newer to my community. I think, last 6 months? Is it 6 months-ish?
Yeah, I think Katya Varbanova was recommending you in her community, and yeah, I was really drawn to your work.
Amazing. Yes. Katya, another one with an unusual surname. See, clearly,
yes.
All of the best people have
weird names or hard to pronounce names.
Exactly. I feel like it's a selling point. It just makes us unique.
It totally is.
Makes our websites a nightmare to find, but all good.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were telling me when we were hopping on here that you have your fingers in lots of pies, right? You're doing lots and lots of different things, but the thing that you're most drawn to in terms of delivering to your clients is this idea of intuitive brand art and creating brands that really, I guess, come from people's, sounds really cliche, doesn't it? But come from people's hearts, right? It's the stuff that is intrinsically in them, and you're putting it visually onto paper.
Yeah, I'm giving them a consistent look. So it's really a lot of people that don't know how to look consistent or look like they even have a brand. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, right now I'm working with someone where I'm putting their logo and borders on all the pictures, so everything looks the same, with the same colors and things like that. So I end up working with a lot of people in the health and wellness, meditation, yoga, fitness. They're drawn to my work for whatever reason. People who coach. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, I think branding's such a big deal. I mean, I was recently, because obviously we just launched the planner and the book and all this kind of stuff. And so I was recently going through a phase of looking at my brand and saying, okay, what do I want it to look like for the next phase? Yes. And I think it's really interesting because, brands evolve so quickly. And people will go through, I remember at the beginning of my business, like literally every couple of months, I was like, oh, I don't like that color anymore. And, I'm not sure on that anymore.
I know.
It felt like it was changing all of the time.
Yeah, well, I think it's really ironic because I was a fashion designer and ran my own clothing brands for 16 years. So I think of it kind of like fashion. Yeah. Like if you want to refresh, contact me. Like I'm not attached to, if I do a bunch of work for someone, I don't care if 3 months from later, they say, I need a new color or I need it to, a refresh. It's fine. Of course you do. It's like fashion.
Oh, I love it. Evolution, baby. Yeah. So tell me then, branding, who is your brand? Can we say brand porn? Is that like a thing? Is it like food porn with the hashtag and stuff? Like who would be the person that you see or the company that you see and you go, their brand is just phenomenal?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Do you mean, do you mean people that I feel are in my industry?
No, just like whoever.
Interesting. That's such an interesting question.
Because it's funny for me, and I was saying this to somebody the other day, I love Apple's brand. I really love their brand. I didn't used to. I used to hate it because I thought it was for hipsters who worked in coffee shops, like computer nerds who were fancy. And I was really corporate. And then when I came into the online business space, I realized the reason I hadn't liked their brand was because actually I secretly wanted to be one of those hipsters working in a coffee shop. And that actually it was just resentment for all the people that got to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a tough question for me because if you were speaking visually, I would probably, maybe think of an artist or
Yeah.
Somebody that was putting art on Instagram every day, like the visual eye candy. If I was thinking about feelings, I have a woman in mind that talks about really deep and interesting things in her posts. If I was thinking about a business brand that I look up to, I would definitely say Katya Barbanova. I watch the most.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I love her visuals. I've actually helped her with her visuals, but I wouldn't say that's why. I watch her more for knowledge. So yeah, I guess it's different for different parts of my brain.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think branding is one of those things. It is really personal.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to watch the evolution, and that's the thing. Like, I used to work and love designer fashion brands. For me, some of the classics, Chanel, everyone knows that logo. It doesn't matter where you go in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Chanel's logo. And I just love that. I love the designs. I love the classic. And it's, their brand as a whole, for me, appeals because it says luxury. There is nothing about Chanel that says we want to appeal to the mass market. It's we're Chanel. This is who we are. We are high ticket. And we're okay with that. And we're okay with being, classic brand.
Yeah,
and then you
absolutely.
get like some really cool up and coming designers, and they're kind of putting it all out there, and maybe they're only around for like 6-7 months. They're kind of the phoenix.
Yes, it's so true. So true.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think my head is kind of really into business and following and watching all those brands. So for instance, I've been listening to Manifestation Babe, and I really like her branding. I'm drawn into her for whatever reason, her colors, and Oh,
I love it. See, there we go. Sharing some tips. Amazing. So what's the formal down low of what you actually do? Because everyone always hears it from me, what I think people do, but what do you feel like you spend your days doing?
I spend my days basically creating visual beauty for like gorgeous images for social media platforms, for web, blog, Instagram, everything, so that when someone goes to your account, say they go to your account on Facebook and then they find you on Instagram, they will instantly recognize that it's you. So a unique twist. And something, that's why I say intuitive brand art, because it's based on you and your messaging, plus the visual connection you want to put together for your client to attract your ideal client. So it's not, it is visual, but it needs to match your core message as well.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, perfect. So we know where you are. We know what you do. What is your question that you're bringing to the table today?
I think my biggest question is how to balance time with your social media marketing, as far as so it's funny, I'm creating brand imagery and helping people behind the scenes, on a tech level and creating content. But as a brand myself, and, I love live streaming. Most of my clients, I meet through that connection of live streaming or video or Periscope or things like that. So because I knew I was coming to talk to you today, I've really looked at where are my clients coming from. Obviously, I'm like a lot of people, I want to expand my reach. I want more of those ideal clients to come into my world. And I get a lot of referrals, so word of mouth in the last 6 months. And I'm fairly new to this. It's not, it's been 2 years, but I've been really focused on it for about a year, maybe a year. And I really want to know how much time is justifiable to spend on the fun part. Well, for me, it's fun, live streaming and really getting out there on social media and online. Yeah.
So I think, and for me, it's a really simple answer. It's, if it turns into revenue, do it as much as you want. That's the thing. So in my business, when I look at the stuff that I do, I really enjoy showing up and doing free trainings in my group. I really enjoy showing up and having conversations with people. I enjoy helping people, with their questions and stuff like that. So those are the things that I focus on. They also happen to be the things that generate revenue for me. So I get a lot of clients who will come from my Facebook group because they've seen my live trainings, or because they've had a question answered by me, or from the podcast. I get lots of clients from the podcast because people enjoy it, and it builds up that credibility factor for them. And it means that ultimately they kind of go, who am I going to talk to about sales? Well, I listen to Jess all the time. She's naturally going to be the first choice. Totally. So what I would say to you is, I'd be looking at your activities and going, okay, what do I enjoy that also brings me money? So you mentioned there, like Periscope and live video. That's bringing you clients and you enjoy it. Great. So do more of that and get more clients that way, and actually reduce some of the other things that maybe you're doing that aren't as interesting, you know, where you're just kind of scrolling the newsfeed, or if you're going into groups and like asking questions to build your brand and visibility and that kind of stuff. That's a waste of time if you don't enjoy it and it's not bringing you anything. Whereas going live and leveraging, you know, the network that you have there, the connections that you've made there, if it's bringing you clients and it's bringing you referrals, do more of it. There's no wrong thing to enjoy your sales activity at all.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that might be what it is that I find it so enjoyable to go live stream. Yeah, I watch a lot of people doing full-on trainings, and I'm wondering about that. It's a time question again. Mm-hmm. I've watched really amazing Your trainings. Another woman I watch all the time, Lenka. I don't know her. Again, her name is, I can't remember, but Lenka, a lot of people know her. And she gives a lot of her time when she does these 5-day challenges and things like that. She'll do like a 40-minute, 45, an hour training on Facebook. Yeah. And I guess, again, I wonder about that. And I think that's a block I have. I'm intimidated by getting on there for 45 minutes. You know, I do about 15 minutes, but I have a lot more to share. So again, I think that's a good question. Like,
I think it's got to be what's right for you. So in 2016, I did over 400 hours worth of free live trainings in my group, and I was literally live every day.
Oh my God.
And we're talking like bar Saturdays and Sundays. So Monday to Friday, every day I was live, and we're talking 45 minutes to an hour every night. So I was like, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. What I realized over time was that actually it was overwhelming my audience. And it was just so much content that they couldn't consume. And I realized that a lot of people weren't actually actioning it. And so that made me feel two ways. One, I was resentful because I was like, hey, I'm giving you all this stuff, nobody's using it. That's really frustrating because I'm human. And the second one was, actually, this isn't what's best for my audience. I need to figure out a way to put this creative content somewhere else. So for me, it was about, okay, I'm going to create a membership site and put a bunch of content in there, and I'm going to really enjoy creating for people who can dip in and go, I want to talk about sales today, or I want to look at lead generation today, or whatever. And then with my own community, my free community, was to look at what can I actually provide on a regular and consistent basis that is going to benefit my audience rather than overwhelm them, and ultimately help them to succeed, whether they're paying me or not. So when you look at people like me and when you look at people like Lenka, we'll often do challenges that will be really in-depth and that will be really detailed, but we'll do them once a quarter.
Okay.
And generally they're tied into some kind of launch. So at the end of the challenge, there's usually an upsell, you know. And so if you look at it from our perspective, it's more like this is a sales activity. Again, it's one that we really enjoy, you know, and sometimes there won't be upsells, you know, sometimes it is just, I want to do something in my community that I think is important. But again, like you, that's our enjoyment. We've gone, oh, really love running a challenge, really love showing up on live video, really love delivering webinars. So I'm going to do that as my core sales activity because it makes me feel good. You know, and in your case, if you're thinking, actually, I've got more to share, maybe it's not a case of going, I'm going to go out and do a 45-minute live stream because that intimidates me, but instead doing 5 days of 15-minute live streams and having day one, this is point one, day two, this is point two. I'm running like a mini challenge.
Yeah. Do you plan ahead quarterly? Like, are you 3 months out or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm somebody who, I'm really anal about stuff going on in my business. My VA, it drives her crazy sometimes, but it's one of those things where I like to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
So things will change. You know, sometimes if I think, so for example, like last year I ran 4 rounds of cash creation consecutively. So over a course of 6 months, I ran the course 4 times. We had 4 massive launches. We're talking like 30K, 35K launches every time.
Wow.
And actually that was a lot of work. So when it came to the 5th one, I was like, whoa, hang on a sec. Although it's planned in, I don't want to do it. Yeah. And that was fine. So I took the kind of latter half of the year off, and we put it into February this year. And so we just kind of put it back. So you can be flexible about it, but it's good for you to know where you're going so that you can plan it.
Yeah, I started doing a full-on schedule, live stream schedule, but I like this conversation we're having because it really puts into perspective the core focus and what you'd be launching. So do you mind me asking how many days you consider a full launch?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on how you run a launch. I tend to have what I would call the 4-week launch model, where week 1 is pre-launch promotion. So I might be promoting the webinar that's going to launch something, or the challenge that's going to launch something. Then I'll have the week of the launch trigger, so the webinar or the challenge itself. Then I'll have 7 days of promotion for that launch out to the people who watched the webinar, participated in the challenge, eventually open it out to my list. And then I'll have a week of debrief and delivery, where I go, okay, how did that actually go? And start delivering the content to the people who've paid for it. So the like cart open, if you like, that specific part of the launch is only 7 days.
Yes.
But the rest of it is done over a month.
Prepping and it's strategic. It sounds really strategic.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really awesome.
Does that help?
Yes, it really helps to find out what people are really actually doing. And I love how honest and truthful you are with that, because I've seen a lot of launches, and it appears like maybe I catch them and I think that their launch was only 7 days, but maybe it was actually a 4-week plan. And I
think you also have to look at, and I think a lot of people, when we look from the outside in, it can be really easy to go, oh, well, their cart was only open for 7 days and they made 100K.
Yes.
That's wonderful. What we don't always see is the amount of time that's gone into it. So if you look at something like B School, for example, it opens once a year. So by the time it's actually open and our newsfeed is flooded with affiliate links and, adverts and all this kind of stuff, actually it's been planned out probably for a year of, this is when we're going to launch the affiliate links. This is when we're going to launch the swipe copy. This is what we're going to tell people to use for graphics. This is how often we're going to get Marie or one of her team to sit on a dual interview with somebody. This is what that schedule is going to look like. This is what the 3-part video series, or however it's done now, is going to be. This is when we're filming that. So by the time it actually gets to you, the reason your newsfeed is so clogged is because 12 months of work has gone into ensuring that produces $1 million or $2 million or whatever it is now. So, you have that end of the scale. And we also don't take into account ad costs, from either the affiliates or from the main provider themselves. So it's huge amounts of traffic, absolutely huge.
Yeah. Well, I noticed Marie Forleo looks pretty exhausted by I'll watch it's fascinating to watch. I love watching how people do this, it's amazing, but you'll see that her last little live streams or whatever, she just looks completely
and that's
done.
it. I mean, that's a whole week of, I just have to appear places and make sure that I'm there and that people can ask questions and that everything's on hand and it looks great. You've got the other people who launch, people who launch twice a year or 4 times a year if they're launching the same course. And unless it's automated, they're running this live process all the time. If it's automated, it's slightly different. So in my business, we run certain funnels that lead to different products, and I'm not doing anything. I'm paying with money instead of time. Paying on ad spend, and every time I pay a certain amount of ad spend, I can pretty much guarantee that I'm going to get somebody who will pay X for a course or a program or a service. Whereas, something like a big B School launch or a big product launch formula type launch, those things require a lot more planning. Can I
ask you if you do a lot of JV stuff when you're launching? Do you do a lot of interviews? Do you get people to do things with you?
I only have one course that I have affiliates for, and the only people that can be affiliates for it are people who've successfully gone through the course, and that's cash creation.
Yeah.
So if you went through cash creation and you did all the work and you made money,
You'd be allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people ask me to, then 100% I'll show up. Ultimately, people buy from people. I wouldn't necessarily buy a course from somebody that I didn't know just because my friend said it was okay.
Yeah.
Or the person, actually prime example. So I bought 90 Day Year because Katja was an affiliate.
Yeah.
And so she did a ton of work to get me to sign up. She was like all in my inbox on the day that it went live. She was sending me every video. She was like checking in with me. She was telling me how great Todd was, like all the time. He was on videos with her and all this kind of thing. And so I was like, oh, okay. By the time that the cart had opened, I wanted to be involved. Yes, because I knew that Katja was going to get some cash. Great. But also because I felt like I'd met him now. And I could trust him because he'd been part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so do you, I have two questions. I hope I remember the second one. Do you feel it's important? I think I just want to get one more clear picture here. Do you think it's important when you're launching to be interviewed by other people?
Not massively.
No.
Because ultimately your launch depends on your traffic. So the first place that your sales are going to come from are from your warmest audience, which is ultimately the people who already know you, like you, trust you, have previously bought from you, or who are part of your community and really invested in the type of person you are and the information that you're providing. The secondary place that you're looking is for your colder traffic. So maybe for you that's ads, maybe it's leveraging your networking connections, which would be where interviews would come in, JV partnerships, that kind of thing. But they're probably not going to make up the bulk of your revenue. So when I look at it, and going back to your first question, when I look at, okay, where is my ROI coming from? If the majority of ROI is coming from my warm audience, I'm not going to go and spend hours and hours potentially developing cold leads when I could just sit in my group and be like, hey, I've launched this thing. Who wants it? And have a launch off the bat.
Okay. Yeah. What would be a tip for, expanding your reach? Like I saw your group obviously took off. To us, it looks like it's an overnight success, but obviously we know that's not the case. But so what was your best moment where you felt like things were really growing for you in your group?
So my group plateaued for a long time at 750 people. And I just, I think there was a combination of things. One, I just didn't care about growing it. Facebook was a platform for me. And the reason I kind of built my group was because I just wanted to connect with other people like me. And so I wasn't fussed about growing it for clients because at that point in time, I was getting most of my business off of LinkedIn anyway. So I was like, well, it's cool, but whatever. When I started realizing how big the Facebook boom was actually when I saw a lot of group owners running their groups in really shoddy ways, and there were tons of people out there who were running these huge groups who didn't feel like they had to show up unless they were launching. So the only time you'd see them participating was like when they wanted to make money. And I kind of felt at that point, I was like, oh, well, I feel as a consumer, I've been missold. Like I was told that you were here, you were creating this community, you were supporting, and now actually I'm only seeing you when you want me to spend on you. And there's no relationship anymore. And that really frustrated me. So at that point in time, I started thinking about how I could do things differently. And I wrote an article about how Facebook groups changed my life. And it was picked up by the Huffington Post. And we literally doubled the group overnight. Within 24 hours, we'd added another 780 people. And it just kind of grew from there. It was tiny. And then we wrote an article and a bunch of people came and joined. And that was great. And again, we plateaued for a little while. And then what I did was I was like, okay, do I want to add more people to the group? And I did. It became a thing that was bigger than me. And so I started actually talking about the fact that I had a group. Sounds really basic, but, I went out there and I made it more visible on my profile on Facebook. I started pointing it as a call to action for people from my business page, from my personal page. I started doing things when I was going on to podcasts and stuff. Instead of talking about like my website, I talked about the group because I was like, yeah, just come on there. If you go to the website, you can download one thing for free. If you come into the group, you can get like 12 things for free. So
yeah,
it makes sense. And that's how it started to grow. And now it's pretty consistent. It's pretty steady. And I tend to find that what happens is most people will find me either through PR. So I'll be writing articles, they'll come and join the group as a result, or it's because of things I'm doing with other people who have businesses that are congruent to mine, but not competitive.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of my biz besties, Heather Gray, she's a mindset person, and I hire her in to work on my courses and work with my clients all the time. Equally, Heather talks about me a lot in her community. So it means that I get a bunch of people who go, oh, I came from Heather, or I came from Scott, or I came from Mark, or I came from whoever. And it's because either they've heard about me through that warm, trusted source, or because I've been in there and I've done a training, or I've been on their podcast, or I've done a telesummit with these people. And so they're actively trying to seek me out because they like what they hear. Kind of like you,
cool.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Here I am.
Exactly. And I love that. And that's sort of what I'm realizing. It's a lot of this stuff is about referrals, but like you said, articles, LinkedIn and things like that. But a lot of the actual sales come from people who are like, oh, I heard you were amazing, or, because they want to hear it. They almost want to hear it from somebody else. It's weird.
But this is it. We all want reassurance. And some people buy, I think it comes down to the kind of buyer you are as well. Some people are aspirational buyers. They buy because somebody has the lifestyle or the certification or the money or whatever that they want. And so when they see that reflected to them, they're like, oh, okay, well, cool. I'll buy from that person. Yeah. Some people buy emotionally, and that does come down to referrals. It's like, oh, if my friend says that this person's really good, they've connected with them. So I would probably connect with that person. And that can be a buying behavior. Equally, referrals can also come from this like fear of missing out type buyer.
Oh, okay.
Who says, oh, well, if Catch is using Sky for her branding, I should be using Sky for my branding.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've got to look at what the drivers are behind people buying, whether it's the connection of this person said you're amazing and they said you were great and they told me about your story, and because of that I want to get to know you and buy from you, or whether it's this person bought from you and they had this insane website built and this, that, and the other, and I want that too. That's right.
Okay. So do you think that some people, some brands, some businesses sell more on like, say, a referral basis or word of mouth, and then others might make more sales through funnels and, I wonder if it's different for everybody. Yeah. Interesting.
It's massively different. There is no cookie cutter.
No.
Solution.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I put up a post incidentally in my group about this today where I said to people, when you're starting out, you do have to go for high ticket, whether it's done for you, one-on-one, done with you, like whatever, it has to be high ticket. And someone was very adamant that no, it can be intuition led. And I get that, right? It doesn't have to be the prescribed formula of you must be a one-to-one coach and then you must create a group program and then you must create a membership and whatever. What we have to focus on as businesses is that regardless of where your sales are coming from, is that you're doing enough sales activity to keep generating that. So if your business is referral led, you have to go and ask for referrals more often.
Yeah.
Whereas businesses who are funnel led have to spend more money in traffic because they need that consistent footfall.
Yeah. So how would you suggest asking for referrals? I mean that.
So I would simply go out to people and just put together a really short email that says, hey, so-and-so, it was great working with you. I really enjoyed it. I've actually got a few more spaces in my diary to take 2 clients or however many clients you have. And I'd really like people with the same characteristics as you, and outline what it was that you enjoyed about working with them. Were they honest? Did they get the stuff to you on time? Were they an action taker? Were they fun? Did they have an interesting brand? Something like that. And then you just say, if you can refer anyone, I'd be really happy to give you a referral fee, have a free call with you, like whatever it is. And just ask them and just say, look, if you can just copy me in on an email or a Facebook message, that'd be awesome. And I'll give you this fee if it's successful.
Wow, that's brilliant. I think that was the best thing I learned today with you. That's awesome. Love that.
Keeping it super simple. Does that all help? Do you feel like
I feel really good. Yeah, I feel really good. I think I really wanted to touch on, just how to expand more of what I'm receiving already. And yeah, really inspired. I feel totally motivated. I knew I would. I mean, that's why I approached you. I was like, I love these podcasts and I'd love to just chat with you. So this is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. And like I say, if you get any questions or anything, just bring them to the group and say, hey, Jess, we did this. We talked about this. I've gone and actioned it. I've sent out like 50 referral emails. Now I have too many clients. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly. That's what will happen. Exactly. Right.
So if people are looking to change up their brand, they're looking to evolve, they're looking to do some of this intuitive brand art that you're working on, where can they find you? Where's the best place to get in touch?
They can go to skymarcano.com. I'll spell it because my name is crazy. It's SKYMARCANO.com.
Perfect.
Yeah. And if you scroll down, you can sign up for a free brand clarity booklet. So just scroll down a bit and then we can stay in touch through email.
Amazing. So there you go. If you need to work on your brand, if you need some clarity around it, if you need to look at some intuitive brand art, some different design, make sure you go and check Sky's website out. The link will be in the show notes for you as well. So you can just take a look at that and click over there. And if you've enjoyed the episode today, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, you hit that download button so you don't miss anything else. And if you've enjoyed it that much, then leave us a little review. We'd love to know how we're getting on. And I'll see you in the next episode.